On the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletic teams and administration each week, presented by Gamebridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Cardinal fans, this is episode 22 of This Week in Ball State Sports, and please don't mind or don't pay much attention to my voice today. Getting over a little bit of a sickness, but we're doing some virtual podcast recording this week, and we're going to get everybody covered. So Jeff Mitchell, our first guest today. Jeff, appreciate you as always.
Well, Mick, it's always a pleasure to be here, and I will be ready tomorrow night. If for whatever reason you are unable to go, I'm your guy, and we'll call some Ball State basketball tomorrow night.
Let's do it. The voice is a work in progress. It's gotten better, if that makes a difference, if that makes anybody feel better. But right now we're just nursing through it. Been a little bit out of it since Friday, but we'll get back on track. Jeff, I appreciate you being willing to pinch hit. It's been a pretty wild month since the holiday break came back, Jeff. The number that you had for us yesterday was a pretty crazy stretch for a month plus of events at Ball State.
Yeah, so I sent a note to our staff Sunday evening, thanking them for the work that they had performed over the course of the first 35 days of 2024. In that 35-day stretch, we hosted 26 different events, and that runs sports such as men's and women's basketball and men's volleyball and gymnastics, men's and women's tennis, and swimming and dive. So between those several sports, to host 26 events in a 35-day stretch can be really taxing on our staff. And I wanted them to hear how much I appreciated all that they do to put on those events. You know, sometimes they don't get a lot of accolades for transforming the venue, particularly in Worthen. And I wanted them to know that it matters, it's noticed, and certainly our student athletes appreciate it, our coaches appreciate it, and the community at large. I mean, they come in, some of our fans are seeing all these things, and they don't really think about the radical transformation that goes on overnight sometimes. I wanted our staff to know that their efforts were really appreciated. And you know, the sun's out today. It's a beautiful day here in Muncie, and we've got more events this week coming up. But they needed to hear that their work is appreciated, and certainly it was a lot of fun for the first few weeks of the year.
Jeff, you mentioned the sun. It does feel like the last couple of days we've seen the sun for the first time in a minute.
Yeah, I think it's been a while. There was a stretch there of a couple of weeks where the sun struggled to come out. But when the sun starts coming out, Mick, it reminds me of baseball and softball season. I think that's coming right around the corner.
It is coming right around the corner. Let's talk about that. Ball State baseball had its first pitch dinner a couple of days ago, a chance for Coach Maloney and the 2024 baseball team to start the season off. How was that?
First class event, which you would expect nothing less out of a Rich Maloney run event and a Rich Maloney run program. Very excited about baseball in the 2024 season. We had Ball State alum and number 1 overall draft pick, Brian Bullington, was the keynote speaker at the event. And his message was one of certainly competitiveness, you know, he was encouraging the guys to just compete all the time, to persevere, and just to enjoy the experience that they have as student athletes. That's a transcendent message, one that can be articulated across every sport. But the evening was phenomenal. A lot of people were present. We probably had at least 200 at the dinner, and we got to celebrate the young men that comprised of that team. And we're 2 weeks away from first pitch, so that's exciting. They're looking forward to it. They are benefiting from this sunshine and a little bit of a warmer climate outside. It's still cold, but they're on the field. And so that's, you know, especially leading up to a couple weeks before the first weekend series, you want to be outside, you want to be going through some scrimmages just to get your pitching lined up for those first couple of weekends. And the same thing could be said for softball, as that they start their season this weekend. And I'm excited for Helen Peña and her staff. Helen, of course, is a first-year head coach and first year with Ball State, and looking forward to seeing what she can do with our program.
It's a great setup. Coach Peña is going to join us here on this episode of This Week in Ball State Sports, along with Cam Andry from women's golf, as their season is about to begin as well. Jeff, there's so much going on within the department and within the sports programs right now. We mentioned a little bit the 26 events in 35 days after the holidays, but in this stretch, we saw a lot of success in the past week since the last time we had a podcast episode. Just the ability for these teams to continue to have the excellence of standard that you're talking about throughout every week, for them to go out and produce the way they have. We can start off with women's basketball, another 2-0 week for them. And a 20-2 record is just continuing the dominance.
They are, but they prepare for it. They're relentless in their preparation, and they're relentless in their competitive spirit on game day. That was on display again twice this past week, and so much fun to watch them play. So much fun to see how connected they are. And of course, I've repeated that multiple times as we talk about them, but that's exactly what they are. It's just a connected team, and goodness, the game on Saturday, such a reflection of that connectivity, where you game in, game out, you don't know who's going to step up and be the hero. And on Saturday, it was Estelle Buchikros, who just was dominant in her performance, and that allowed other players to do other things en route to a 31-point win and against a rival opponent. So I'm so excited for that team as they continue down this last third of the season, and how well they're playing, and how hungry they are. They are motivated for each other's success, and I think it's a mindset that they've been working on for some time now, that even predated this season. And Coach Selly and his staff continued to put them in situations to thrive. And so a lot of fun to watch, and the crowds are getting bigger, and we're expecting hopefully a vote into the top 25. Maybe we're at least making that push. And of course, we encourage our student athletes not to worry about that. Those things take care of themselves, but we're excited for them as they go on this journey of this season.
Yeah, currently 2 places out in the coaches poll, receiving votes at number 27-ish in the country. 11 votes last week in the coaches poll. We'll see what that drops later today. Jeff, over on the men's basketball side, big win on the road at Western Michigan. They've won 3 straight MAC road games. That's helped setting this team up for a springboard late in the season.
Yeah, anytime you can win on the road is a big thing, and especially in the sport of basketball, where statistically speaking, it's very difficult to win on the road. And I think our guys played a complete game. As a matter of fact, I think the first half was probably one of the most complete halves of basketball that we played all year. And our guys continue to work hard. Coach Lewis continues to instill a level of confidence in them, and it's the college basketball season is a long season, and you can have a lot of ups and downs, and you just have to be steady. And I think our guys displayed a level of composure that they don't always display in the win on Saturday. So I'm proud of them, and a crucial win. And now we turn around and we play at home against Ohio later today as this recording drops, and it's a big one. I mean, they're all big at this point,
right?
And look forward to the guys competing against the Bobcats.
Talk about a standard of excellence. Janelle Rogers coming off her All-American season with track and field at the Mayo Invitational. She was fantastic again, Jeff. Pentathlon participants have not been able to try and stop what Janelle Rogers has done. She had a career best score of 4,163 points. That top 4 athletes from host Notre Dame and a pair of MAC rivals from Bowling Green. That score ranks 8th in the country right now. And Janelle Rogers feasting off of a great season this year after a performance that everybody remembers from last year. So major kudos to what Janelle's doing again this year.
Absolutely. And what a fun athlete to watch and to celebrate. and she belongs on that national scene. I mean, she did it last year, and she trains like she belongs. She believes that she belongs. And so when you do those things, when you both train and believe that you belong, then your performance often mirrors that mindset. And that's certainly what she's doing. And she's got great coaches that are supporting her. And we're all big Janelle Rogers fans and excited for her as the indoor season concludes, and certainly as we get into the outdoor season.
Jeff, another fun one for Ball State gymnastics. Defeated Kent State at home. Great start to action.
Well, another great team to watch, that they're so connected in an individual sport, which is interesting, but the way they support each other, the way they train, it carries into a performance set. And they were brilliant on Saturday, despite a couple of hiccups. But they're tough enough just to persevere through, an occasional fall, which happens from time to time. And they didn't bat an eye, didn't panic. I think Coach Salim was quoted as saying how proud she was of her team, of taking a hit and not being able to, and being able to overcome that adversity, and just sticking to their routines and what they do in their performance setting. So very proud of them. It was a great turnout at Worthen to watch gymnastics, and just what a great job those young ladies are doing and competing, and how well they represent Ball State University and Ball State athletics. It was a community day, and the lines of people that were wrapping around the concourse at Worthen to get autographs from our student athletes was pretty remarkable. It was a great video that demonstrates how long those lines were. But what a thrill for those young ladies and for our program as we continue to do great things in that sport. Looking forward to hosting a couple of more meets this season, including the MAC championships. So it's all coming up here in the next couple of months.
It is. MAC championships in the middle of March, one more home meet in the regular season for Ball State gymnastics. Jeff, back in the pool on the men's and women's side, big victories for them this week as well.
Yeah, competed really well. I texted with Coach Agnew over the weekend. He's really excited about the performances of both squads. And we've got a couple more dual meets, and then it's MAC championship time. And, that group puts in a lot of work. It's often unseen. It's early in the morning. It's late at night, and it's off the beaten path, in Llewellyn Pool. But they're dedicated athletes and dedicated scholars, and really proud of the effort that they put forth, and are certainly coached at a very high level in Jay Agnew. And we appreciate his leadership of those two programs, and excited for the continuing elevation of excellence that they are providing in those sports with those programs. Jay's done a remarkable job since he's been here, and that standard continues to increase.
You talked about attendance and overall fan experience with gymnastics. We saw that with men's volleyball this week as well. Took on Hawaii on Sunday, and then Meva play started off great for the Cardinals with a win over Loyola Chicago, dropped to Penn State, but close sets within that match. That was an electric week for Ball State men's volleyball, hosting some premier matches.
Yeah, high-level volleyball. I mean, you're talking about three top 15 matches, and the crowd appreciates high-quality athletics events, and those were three of them. And just the athleticism on display on both sides, the coaching on both sides was really remarkable. And I think our crowd was treated to three really good college volleyball matches. And, a couple of them didn't go the way of the Cardinals, but I do think our team is continuing to benefit from playing those caliber matches. They are testing themselves, and they belong on that stage. A couple of things go our way, and we're talking about, at least a pair of wins during the week, as opposed to just one. But the good news is the one match we didn't win was against Loyola out of Chicago, and that's a MEVA conference game, and to win that, to be 1-0 to start league play is really important, especially in the MEVA, which is an extraordinary conference. and you always want to be 1-0 if you can. So that is where we are, and look forward to conference play. And our guys are continuing to play at a high level, and it will start clicking for them on a more regular basis. But look, we've got a winning mark, and we're 1-0 in conference play. So that's a good place to be.
Jeff, how's your golf swing looking right now?
It is not as good as our men's and women's golf team swings are looking. I can guarantee that.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Men's golf started the season here in the spring yesterday on Monday. They're competing today as well. They're down in Florida, and then the women's golf team picks things up the 13th and 14th. So really exciting to have our golf programs also in full swing here.
Yeah, and they're excited to be playing in areas of the country where it's a little warmer. So that's a better environment for golf than it is right now. Although I'm sure they're jealous of the sunshine today.
But truly, like what does your golf swing look like? I'm going to put you on the spot here.
It's the swing itself isn't bad.
Okay.
Sometimes things happen as the swing connects with the ball, and sometimes the ball doesn't necessarily do what the swing suggests that it should.
That's fair. Now, you're a baseball guy. Do you swing a golf club the same side that you swing a baseball bat?
I do. I swing it from the right side, but it's a self-taught golf swing because the swings are different.
So it's a baseball golf swing.
I have well, it's a taught swing, and I can make it hit the ball. Sometimes the ball does what I'd like it to do, and other times, Mick, the ball has a mind of its own.
Well, we can leave it there. It's okay. I had to ask. I had to ask with golf here and coming up for women's and men's. Make sure to check out ballstatesports.com to see where they're at. Jeff, before we let you go, anything else you'd like Cardinal fans to know here on episode 22?
Spring's coming, and we're wrapping up the winter sports. We really appreciated the attendance of our fans coming to whatever event that we have been hosting lately. And as basketball season comes down to the last few weeks, as we approach the MAC tournament, just encourage you guys to come out and watch us play. It's a lot of fun. The games are fun. We're on as this drops on Tuesday, the men host Ohio, and it's Dean's shootout game. This will be my first Dean's shootout. So at halftime, the academic deans of the various colleges on campus will engage in an epic free throw shooting battle.
Okay.
And so that's a can't miss. And are
you getting in on that? I know you're not a dean, but you have a little bit of leverage here.
We're gonna let the deans have this one.
Okay.
And I will present the trophy.
That's good. Okay. I like
it. We'll engage in something at some point where I may join in on that, but I wanted this to be a dean's deal.
We'll get you and Alex Perry 1v1 at some point. We'll have an administration 3-point shootout.
Can't wait.
Jeff, we appreciate you joining the show every week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mick. Go Cards.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. Gainbridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at Gainbridge.io.
Back inside episode 22 of This Week in Ball State Sports, and we're happy to be joined by Ball State head softball coach Helen Peña in her first season guiding the Cardinals. Coach, first off, thanks for joining us. Second off, how excited are you to finally get this thing rolling?
We're pumped. I mean, this is something that we've been building up to. So there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of energy just about wanting to get started. And the girls have worked hard since day one. So I feel like they've been bought into the process. They've been bought into our vision. And now we get to just watch them play, which is the exciting part. So
how have you learned, as we sit here with this episode dropping February 6th, how have you learned as a first-year head coach since the first day you walked on campus to now to navigate a team to make sure that they're ready for this first weekend?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, I would say, not just focusing on the pitching, but just making sure, as a team, we're firing on all cylinders. And so, one, I feel like us as a staff, we've challenged them enough during practice. So hopefully when they get into the game, it's a bit easier, it's a bit slower for them. But yeah, I mean, the main thing is there's just a lot of more like moving parts, but they've accepted every challenge that we brought to them. And so I feel like they're ready.
What have you learned about yourself during these first couple of months as a first-year head coach?
I don't need to do it all. As an assistant, I feel like I wanted to have my hand in everything.
Yeah.
But now as a head coach, and I've talked to a few mentors of mine, and they even said like, hey, you got to learn how to get rid of things on your plate. And so with two amazing assistants, I feel like that was easier for me than I thought. But yeah, I feel like just being able to let things go and not, not having to worry about it. But that's the plus about having really good assistants.
What makes your two assistants great?
They're go-getters. I feel like we have things in common when it comes to work and when it comes to just wanting to do a really good job at things. And so, yeah, I mean, whatever I give them, I know it's going to be done the right way, and I know that it's going to be done. And so there's a lot of trust there.
Coach, you said something really interesting, implementing your vision and making sure that that vision is something that is carried out by everybody, but done so in such a positive light. How have you seen that vision come to fruition by the players, by the coaches, by everybody to make sure that that has been a positive journey and experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you realize that things are working or things are being grasped by them is when they start to speak your language on their own, right? So when they start to say like, hey, like we've got to do better at the details, or we've got to make sure that we're 100% locked in, in the moment. And the culture of care that we talk about when it comes to caring for our people, caring for ourselves, caring for the details of the game, caring for purpose and intent behind everything that we do. When you start to hear that coming from players, coming from sports psych, coming from our staff, like if everyone is aligned in what we're trying to do, then we're going to go far. And so when you start to hear that, little whispers here and there, side conversations, then it becomes a really exciting and beautiful thing for sure.
Coach, it seems like part of the vision that you're implementing with this program, there's 3 plates behind you as we're recording this over Zoom: failure, execute, and success, right? That's what it looks like. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
It looks like that those 3 things are a big part of what you've been trying to do and your staff's been trying to do to implement that vision. How have those 3 plates been kind of the building blocks of building this team?
In order to succeed, you have to fail, right? And so big things for us is one, culture and our process, like how are we going about the process? Can we make the process bigger than the outcomes? And then how do we respond to failure so that we can learn from it and move forward and then use it as a springboard for future success, right? So yeah, I think all of those play a big hand in our message and what we're trying to do on a daily basis. But this game, I mean, it can humble you, right? So you're meant to fail more than you are meant to succeed as a hitter, at least. And so that if that's not part of our lingo or part of our conversations, then we're missing a huge piece of the game for them to learn from. And so, yeah, failure, being able to execute in the moment and being present in the moment and just how to go about that leads to success. And so it's definitely like an everyday talk for us.
Coach, you mentioned hitting. I want to go down that path. How are you seeing your offense develop as you get ready for the season?
They're great. I mean, to me, they are talented just to begin with. And then with Coach Burns, really just laying out the foundations for them to succeed and being able to challenge them. And he has really great hitting talks with them and conversations about mentality, about plans, about adjustments. I feel like no doubt they're going to be ready to beat up on some pitchers, and I'll be happy that it's not ours, and our pitchers are going to be happy that it's not them. But again, like it's both pieces challenging one another, competing with one another day in and day out, so that when we face someone else, it's easy, right? So I feel like our pitchers and our hitters both have challenged one another over the last 6 months, and so we're really excited to see them take it out on someone else.
No, that's a great way to put it. Ready to see him take it up with somebody else, because I'm sure everybody's ready for that and not have to face each other anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
From a pitching standpoint, how have you seen the staff continue to grow?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's about mindset. You know, we've got 3 seniors, we've got some talented underclassmen, obviously, and to me, their mindset is going to set them apart from, you know, anything else. Being able to replicate really good pitches back to back, being able to put things where we want it, and then being able just to keep hitters off balance, you know. And so for me, I think they've grown in maturity, and then also just how to pitch, and not just being a pitcher, but how do I want to pitch this batter, and where do I want to put it, and things like that. So,
and that has to be fun to teach and develop within athletes, right? Because that is part of the growth and the decision making for a player.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first got into this, I was a volunteer for my alma mater, and just helping teammates in the bullpen get those light bulbs, right? Like, and my pitching coach was just like, that's basically what I told her. And she's like, you just said it in a different way. And I was like, interesting. So it doesn't matter maybe like what the message is, it's how they hear it and how they can understand it in their own minds. And so that light bulb moments, I feel like I'm constantly chasing those. And then as I got older, it's just learning life light bulb moments as well. Like that got me really excited. So on the field light bulbs, off the field light bulbs. I mean, that's what you chase, you know, just to help them, one, see their growth, and then two, knowing that they're capable of so much more than they actually realize at first.
I love that. Light bulb moments, different ways to say the same thing. Do you do that now as a head coach, where sometimes you'll approach a conversation a certain way and then reinforce it, just saying it just a little bit different?
Yeah. I mean, part of maturing as a coach is you have to know your audience. You have to know personality. You have to know how are they going to take it and dissect it and overplay it in their head, or are they going to take the message and move on? So there's different types of thinkers, obviously, and you have to know your audience, and you have to know, you know, as a leader, like, how can I get the most out of my people? How can I bring the best out of them? And so how I maybe coach and approach one player is going to be probably different than someone else. But either way, the goal is the same, is to get the most out of them.
Coach, how does 11 a.m. this Friday, Jacksonville, Florida, first pitch sound to you?
It sounds great. I mean, we're facing JMU. We're rolling. I mean, we're really fired up and pumped about, you know, just our people, about the work that they've put in. I'm excited just to see them play, like, not overthink it, just go out there, play the way we know how, and just have fun with one another, because they have put in the work. They've been bought in since day one. And so this is the fun part. Like, this is why we play the game, right? So I'm just really pumped up just to see them on the field all together. So,
Coach, before we let you go and get ready for the rest of the week leading up to the tournament in Jacksonville, is there anything else you want Cardinal fans to know about your Ball State softball squad entering the season?
Yeah, we're a fun group. So I want everyone to come out and see a game this spring. First home game is March 15th against Ohio. So come on out, and our girls are worth it. So I would love the support, but they honestly deserve the support, because they put in the work. They're a fun group. So it's going to be really exciting to watch them.
Coach, thank you so much, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's not the moment. It's the moment before the moment. The moment you make a choice. The moment you take control. The moment only you can own. GameBridge lets you invest on your terms. So you're not only in charge of this moment, but all the moments to come. Start investing now at GameBridge.io.
Welcome back into episode 22 of This Week in Ball State Sports. And hey, it's almost women's golf season. It is basically here, just a couple of days away from the beginning of the season. And we're pleased to be joined by head women's golf coach Cam Andry. Cam, appreciate your time.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, Mick.
Of course, Cam, there's a lot of excitement around the women's golf team. The fall season treated us very well, including some big wins. And the spring season, I know you're excited and you're looking forward to this. What excites you most about the squad in the spring?
Yeah, I think I feel like year two now for me here. We've laid the foundation and we're starting to build on that foundation. And so the team that we have is still pretty young, only one senior. And so every day is kind of a learning experience for a lot of them. And so we gained a lot of valuable experience in the fall. Sometimes the results were good, sometimes they weren't so good, but we were gaining valuable experience either way. And so I think looking ahead to this spring, I'm excited to see us hopefully kind of put some of the lessons that we've learned into practice. They've worked extremely hard over the off season. We've pushed them hard, both in terms of practice and also in the weight room, and really challenged them to kind of rise to the occasion, and they have. And they're just all nine of them are just really fun to be around. They love competing. They love playing golf. And so, if that's the baseline for things, like you're in a pretty good spot. And so I'm excited to get going. And I know they're excited because they've put in a lot of work over the last few months and hoping to see it pay off sometime this spring.
Cam, you mentioned some lessons learned from the fall season. What were some of those lessons?
Yeah, well, it's probably a little bit different for each player individually. But, we had some freshmen that were in the lineup, a transfer that, new to the Division I level that was in the lineup quite often. And even, some of our regulars were just sophomores. And so I think just figuring out, okay, what does it look like for me to get prepared to play in an event? What's the adjustment like? We played in Denver, for example, back in September. And so it's very different golf. And so how quickly can we get there, figure out what the adjustments are, and make those adjustments? And then just, what does it look like to play at a high level day in and day out? And it takes something different from each individual to get in the right frame of mind. That's probably where it begins. And then once you kind of figure out how you need to think and how you need to approach it, then you start to figure out what do I need to do in practice in the weeks leading into an event to get myself there. And so I think all of them have learned some of those lessons. We're really intentional with them about reflecting after each event. And so I can see the thought that they're putting into those reflections and some of the lessons that they're learning. And I think the other piece for us is just learning to, what does it look like to be part of a team, and what does it mean to be for one another, hold each other accountable, but also do it in a way that you're caring for one another. And those relationships have definitely grown and deepened. And so that probably makes the day-to-day grind of practice even easier when you're standing alongside people that you really enjoy being around.
Cam, you talked about younger players having a big hand in the team already. How do you see that helping build the foundation for what you want this program to be, not only just this year, but in the future years too?
Yeah, we talk about that, and it's definitely one of the things that I talk about when I'm recruiting. I think we've got a really strong foundation with the younger players, and sometimes there's growing pains when you're playing younger players, but usually you get the benefit of that later on because they do gain so much experience. And so I think we're in a good place where we've got some young, talented players, and they are gaining some experience even through the ups and downs. We're going to see some dividends from that down the road. They're just, I think, understanding what does the work rate have to look like for us to be successful. And they're embracing it. They're not fighting it. They're embracing what that has to look like. And so it really is exciting for me. we had a recruit on campus yesterday, and her dad was like, what are your goals for the program? And I said, well, like our goal is to ultimately win a conference championship, and we've got a ways to go before we can do that. But we've already moved significantly in the right direction, and that ultimately is what our goal is. And so we're keeping eye on the prize there, and then just doing what we need to do every single day to try to reach that goal. And it may be a multi-year process, probably will be, but that's okay. I kind of am excited by that process.
It's great to hear you talk about being excited about the process and having the eyes on the prize, like you said, of a MAC championship. The thing that sticks out to me too is you said this is year 2 for you as coach of the women's golf team. You have those ambitions, those goals. What are you learning about yourself as a coach in year 2 to help your team get to those points, but also stay within today as well?
Yeah. I can get a little bit future focused at times, and lose sight of the joy of the journey. You get too focused on the final destination, and there's really not fulfillment in the final destination. The fulfillment for anything in life comes in the experiences along the way. And so I have to remind myself of that sometimes. I'm a little impatient, but I it's a good question. I think it ebbs and flows. Like I worked so hard on a particular recruit all fall, and ended up she chose another school, and it kind of broke my heart, that as those tend to do. And then turned around, and another player that we were recruiting that I honestly thought maybe was a little bit out of our league ended up committing to us. And so it's just I think the lesson learned for me is you just got to do the work and stay the course. And if you're doing the work, and day in and day out you keep the mentality the same, then ultimately the results are going to be there. It may not look how you think it's going to look, but you're gonna see the results of sticking to that process. And so it's not easy for me, because I would love to skip some steps, as most people would, I think. But
Yeah.
I am enjoying it for sure.
Cam, a week from today, you're not going to be in Muncie. You're going to be in Arizona starting the season for the spring. How does that sound? Like that just sounds like a great place to be in about a week.
Well, I've looked at the forecast and it looks wonderful. It's going to be
Yeah.
about 72 and sunny and 5 mile an hour wind. So yeah, we're excited. We're blessed to be able to travel like that, and go to cool places and play in nice weather, play good golf courses. And I think we've got a chance. It's a pretty good field. There's several MAC schools in the event, and there's some schools that are ranked a little bit higher than us. So it'll be a good opportunity for us to go see, like, hey, how do we match up here? Can we rise to the occasion? And I'm looking forward to it. The warm weather will be great too.
A good bonus. Yeah, absolutely. Good bonus. You'll come back with a little bit of a sunburn or a tan. Are you a tan
I
or a
hope so.
sunburn person?
Yeah. I usually tan, actually. So
Yeah.
I hope so.
That's lucky. I can't say the same for myself. Usually just goes straight to sunburn. So, um, Cam, I know it's your second season, but for those that may not know exactly what your journey has been like to become the Ball State women's golf head coach, where did it start?
So I'm a proud Ball State alumnus, bachelor's and master's degree here. And while I was working on my master's, I started working up at Taylor University, just up the road, in athletic communications the first year. In the middle of the first year, the men's golf coach at the time was stepping down after the year, and they were like, "You know something about golf? Maybe you can coach our golf team." And so I was 23. I didn't know anything about what I was doing, but I learned a lot of hard lessons along the way. And we started the women's program a couple of years later, and I coached both teams there for 11 years. And so I love Taylor. It was a wonderful place to work. And then when the opportunity came for me to come back to Ball State, a place that I love so much, that was, just a dream come true in a lot of ways. And so, and I just think Ball State, like, it's not just a great school, not just wonderful people. Like, we've got the things in place to be successful as a women's golf program. And I think a lot of our other sports, absolutely that's true. But I know specifically for us, we've got everything that we need to be successful. And now it's just a matter of putting in the work and getting the right people here. And we do those two things, we're going to be in good shape. And I think we're making really good progress on that front every day out on the recruiting front, and trying to continue to bring in the right people.
I think you left out a huge piece of your journey at Ball State, and that is your days at the student radio station.
Yeah.
I think you just glossed over that.
So, well, it's such it's not a part of what I do now, but back then that was the dream. Like, I wanted to be Mick Tidrow. I wanted to be the voice of the Cardinals back then. And so, yeah, that was so much fun. Like, my junior and senior year were the 2 years, maybe the two, best years of Ball State football in history. Fall of 07, fall of 08. And so got to go to all those games and do the play-by-play on the student radio on WCRD. And that was just an incredible experience. And yeah, you do such a great job, Mick. Like, I love listening to you. And as somebody who's, sat in a seat similar to yours, like, I have a real appreciation for how effortlessly you do your job. And yeah, we're really lucky to have you. So yeah.
No, I appreciate that, Cam. I love what you said about you transitioning from being in the communications department at Taylor to then being a golf coach. Like, what is that like? Because that is something that probably not a lot of people do in their careers.
I think in some ways, I probably had a little bit of a leg up, because I think ultimately coaching is actually just about people and communication, and the sport. The sport, you got to know your sport. You got to be able to help players get better and achieve their goals. But you can know a lot, and if you can't communicate it, it's not worth much. And so I feel like what I learned here at Ball State through the College of Communication Information and even a master's in public relations, those things I think gave me some foundation for how I coach, and allowed me to see the value in, communication, understanding people. And I think if I have any strength, strength as a coach, that's probably it, where it's like, I do feel like I understand my players well. I can communicate clearly with them and understand where they're coming from. And I think it really does kind of lay the foundation for a really strong team. And golf is an individual sport. So, like, with each player, it has to look a little bit different. Like, what they need from me will be a little bit different. And so the quicker I can pick up on the differences and how I can fill the gap that they have, then I think we're on a good path. And so it's definitely a unique journey, not something that I think most coaches have experienced. But I think it's worked out for me. So I couldn't be more happy with where I am now. Back then I thought I was going to be on ESPN or whatever. And I'm just so glad that, the good Lord had other plans for me, and that I ended up here doing what I'm doing right now.
Cam, that's the epitome of everybody's journey is different and nobody's path looks the same. And it's awesome to hear you talk about where yours started and how yours is so much different than everybody else's. I appreciate you sharing your stories, Cam, and we can't wait to see you guys finally compete here on February 13th in Arizona. Thanks for joining this week, Cam. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Mick. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gamebridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gamebridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.